The government's continuing to prepare the ground for its much-anticipated budget surplus to disappear. Live to political reporter Eliza Edwards. Eliza, the Treasurer has been hitting the airwaves this morning to manage expectations, you could say.
That's right. The government's still hoping it'll be able to deliver that much-anticipated $5 billion budget surplus in May, but that looks to be hanging by a thread after a summer of bushfires and the coronavirus as well. The impact from the disease is now spreading beyond the tourism and university sectors, impacting manufacturing, agriculture and exports as well. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg not saying how much money could be wiped from Australia's GDP.
I think it will take off more than the bushfires, and the bushfires have been assessed by the Reserve Bank and by Treasury as taking about 0.2 of a percentage point, and that's off both the December and the March quarters in a cumulative number. But in terms of the exact number, Treasury is still doing that work, and obviously the virus continues to evolve, and depending on how long the travel restrictions are in place and how the virus evolves globally, will obviously impact that final number.
Annalise, global growth has already been downgraded by the IMF amid concerns about a worldwide economic slowdown. And the Shadow Assistant Treasurer, Stephen Jones, says these impacts on a domestic front highlight the need for stimulus to prop up the economy.
We were calling for stimulus measures. We repeat those calls because we see the capacity of this crisis to spread from just the tourism sector and the higher education sector, which are the most exposed at the moment, through to other areas of the economy. So we're repeating our calls for the government to implement a stimulus package. It is much needed. The government seems to be too busy patting themselves on the back and looking backwards and not forwards. We need some leadership, and we're certainly not getting it from this Prime Minister.
Certainly much stronger language than we've seen from Anthony Albanese or Jim Chalmers. But Eliza, an emergency response plan has been activated to protect against coronavirus. What does it involve?
Well, if the coronavirus continues spreading in Australia, this emergency plan will be enacted. It war games a series of scenarios. If it's a low severity virus, it would be treated much like a bad flu season. A medium level outbreak would put pressure on our hospitals and blood banks and see elective surgery scale back, while a high level virus would be considered at a similar level to the Spanish flu of 1918, a disastrous epidemic there, and that of course is the worst case scenario. Annalise?